Top 5 Viking weapons. Number 5. The Viking helmet. The Viking helmets were extremely rare and expensive, and therefore typically only worn by the very rich Vikings. You could compare it to owning a Lamborghini today. In fact, only one of these helmets have ever been found. It was in a war grave north of Oslo, in Norway. As you can see, the helmet has no horns, and there has never been found any Viking helmets with horns. However, there have been found ceremonial helmets with horns, but those date back to the Bronze Age. Number 4. The sword. The sword was only for the wealthiest of the Vikings, such as the kings or the very successful merchants. The Viking sword was by far the best melee weapon and could be the deciding factor of any battle. A typical Viking sword was about 90 centimeters in length, and the blade was often decorated with beautiful carvings and plated with silver or gold. The handle would be decorated with precious metals and formed with ornate designs. The Vikings would often name their sword, and when they died, the sword would often be buried with them. But sometimes the sword would stay in the family and would be inherited by a family member. The Viking sword was very costly weapons, and not everyone could afford just to let it be buried. Number 3. The bow. The bow was very important and a crucial weapon in the beginning of a battle. This could be either be on ship or on land, by shooting at the enemy from a safe distance of about 200 meters. By doing this, the Vikings hoped they would kill the first row of the enemy warriors. The Viking bows was made from either ash or elm. This is because they had a large buckle ability and therefore could send a powerful shot at their enemy. The bowstring was made from flax, and a total of the arc measured about 190 centimeters. The arrows was made in many different forms and a variety of materials. However, it was common that the tips of the arrow was made from iron. Number 2. The shield. The shield was a very common weapon in the Viking Age, and it was mostly used as a defensive weapon. The Vikings would stand in a special formation, either in a long row or in a triangle, to create a wall of shields, which would overlap and make it very difficult for the enemy to break through. The Vikings would also use the shield in battle to hit the enemy, so they would lose their balance and make them vulnerable for an attack. The shield was often used in a duel, where they had the shield in one hand and either a spear or an axe or even a sword in the other. Some of the remains from the Viking Age has shown that many of the people, despite of having a shield for protection, suffered many injuries in the lower region and on their legs. A Viking shield is round and is between 80 to 100 centimeters in diameter. The shield is made from wooden planks and held together by the strip of wood and animal hide. In the middle of the shield is an iron knob as a handle to protect the hand of the Viking. The handle of the shield is often the only thing that has been preserved after having been buried for more than 1,000 years since the Viking Age. Number 1. The axe. The axe was a very common weapon for most of the Vikings, but it was not just a weapon. It was primarily used as a tool for every ordinary day work. Most of the axes that has been found from the Viking Age has been found in burials. The quality and the decorations of the Viking axes varied a lot, but most of them was made with iron. Some of the axes was just simple and without any decorations, while others were an artwork in itself, with inlaid silver thread with depictions of animals. Almost all the axes had Christian or heathen symbols engraved on them, and could swing with such a force that it would split an helmet in half. Which weapon would you use if you lived in the Viking Age? Leave a comment below, and see you next time. Thank you for watching.